What's up, YouTube? How we doing? This is my weekly Let's Talk Scooter chat. I'm gonna wait a little bit because it normally takes a little bit for people to hop in. But today it was freezing, by the way, and there's a trend that I've seen this week. Let me show you. Hey, Jesse. 2 scooters this week that I worked on. Metal on metal brake pads. So I just wanted to talk quick about that. My street cub is not in here. This is my shop. My street cub's at home. But let me talk about this really quick. So those of you that don't know how to check your brake pads, I want to show you really quick. Let me get a little pointer. Probably a good pointer. Okay, so you're gonna look down. This is your brake caliper here. You're gonna look straight down the caliper, and gosh, this is not as easy as I thought it would be. And there is your brake pads. Let's see if you can see that right there. See that little gap that I'm going back and forth there? That's your brake pad. If you don't see that, it should be equal on both sides. If you don't see that, then you need new brake pads. And you can kind of judge what new brake pads look like versus old brake pads. Here's ones that are completely shot, and here are new ones. See the thickness difference? Let me lay this down. It's like that. Big difference. So unless you know how thick a new one is, it's hard for you to judge the percentage of the ones you have on there. But if you have a scooter, that's the general thickness. Now that I got that out of the way, and I got a few people in here now, I was going to try something new. Let's see. I'm going to check these comments real quick. Let's see. 13 degrees in Nebraska. Jesus. Yeah, today wasn't that cold, but it was still cold. Cold enough for me to freeze my ass off. Let's see. So the Street Cub, I have been working on it. That episode hopefully is going to be done this week. Hopefully this weekend. Actually, the Street Cub hubs, I need to paint them. You'll see those in the video when I do that. But Street Cub's coming along. I'm trying to, have some extra time to finish that up. There's something. I actually have my phone on a tripod this time too, so that's kind of nice. Sweet videos. Thanks. Keep up the sweet. What was it? Illinois was cold. Who is this person that saw the Street Cub? Where are you from? Is that almost looks like Thailand? Any plans for the fuel injected ruckus video? Oh man, I'm getting my butt kicked by this fuel injection system, but I'm so close. I probably have 15 hours into the tuning on this thing. Here it is, right here, and I've been, basically tuning it. Let's see, I'll show you. I wonder if this battery might be, if the thing of it is if this battery is too low, it won't start. And I cranked the hell out of it earlier. No. So that's what I'm struggling with right now on my fuel injection. Once it's running, man, it runs awesome. But I'm struggling with getting it to start when it's cold. But I'm getting close. It's just one of those things where I have like one chance to start it in the day, which I've already done. And then I make the adjustments and wait till the next day because the motor has to cool down overnight. But yeah, the fuel injection system is getting dang close. I'm just struggling a little bit with the tuning. And I have an O2 sensor to sniff the fuel, but you can't do that while when you're starting it, only while it's running. So I was gonna try something new this chat. So whenever I talk to people about problems, I run into, like, I'll ask a question and then the question gets buried in comments, and then it's really hard to, chat. So I set up a Google Hangout, or like a Google Voice. So I don't know how this is gonna work, but I just kind of wanted to see. I'll try it, and if it works good, then sweet. But what I wanted to do was I'll tell you the phone number, or I'll even comment it, and you will text me your problem that you're having, and then I'll call you and then everybody can hear our conversation. I can walk through problems that you're having or questions that you're having, and that's how I'm going to do that. So if anybody has any issues, this is what I'm going to do. Here, get a pen. I'll give you a minute to get a pen. I don't think I can comment on it. What does this button do? Oh, no. Can I comment? I can't comment. I'll have to just tell you what this phone number is in a minute. Two-stroke scooters in India. Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you. Seeing more, I mean. Yeah, so you guys got a pen? I'm going to give you this phone number. This is the Google Hangout phone number. And I want you to text me the phone number, whatever your issues you're having. Then I'll call you, and then we can chat, and people can listen, kind of like a radio show. Okay, here we go. 720-295-2386. Don't call it, though, because the call waiting will interrupt the phone calls that we're talking on. Just text it, 720-295-2386. Episode 4, the street cut build, is coming. Promise. Working on that. All right, let's see. We got anybody? I don't have anybody yet. Will this work? I don't know. People are shy probably too, huh? If you haven't seen the if you haven't seen the GY6 bushing video that I just put up, check that out. Also, I'm going to use for this bike, I'm going to do GY6 maintenance. Oil change, spark plug, drive oil, for people that don't know how to do that. Hey Elwood, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining my Patreon. I really appreciate that. By the way, Elwood was one of the very first members to join my Patreon account. So that's cool. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I haven't done any marketing on that yet because I haven't finished my video, but getting close to doing that too. It's all about time, I'm freeing up some time. Well, no one's texting in, so I don't think that might be a flop. Again, the phone number, if you have a problem and you want to talk about it live on this channel, 720-295-2386. 720-295-2386. Write that down. Let's see if I can chat here. What's this? That's super chat? I don't know what that is. All right. Working on my winter ruckus project. Going from a 150 to a 171 cc. Yeah, that'll wake it up. Are you at sea level? Everything I know is based on a mile above sea level. Which sucks because we lose 20% of our power. Okay, somebody posted the phone number. Tim did. So if you guys want the phone number, Tim has it posted up. Thanks for doing that, dude. Appreciate it. What performance mods would you recommend for a 50cc Supermoto? Are you referring to like the little Tao Tao ones? The or what brand are you talking? Is it 2-stroke, 4-stroke? I got all kinds of mods for that, depending on what it was. So I'll just talk real quick. So the pretty much like across the board as far as mods go, the best bang for your buck is always going to be a big bore kit. The best bang for your buck is a big bore kit, and I would always do a camshaft, especially if you're dealing with a Chinese type scooter. People always like are commenting and saying that if you go too big, it's going to blow up. I've never seen. We sell a 120cc big bore kit, never blown up. However, I always see when that happens, like if you have a problem at all, which is rare, I see like the camshaft, the bearings on the camshaft come apart. So basically all I'm saying, if you have a Chinese version doing a big bore kit, always do the camshaft. Get a good camshaft, not just a cheapo. Sometimes you can get away with the cheap eBay big bore kits. I haven't had good luck with them. I would never sell one to a customer. But definitely get a good cam. Otherwise, you're going to have problems later. It might last for a little while, but any type of mileage, I've seen it so many times. So that's best bang for your buck is a big bore kit. The next thing after that is going to be exhaust and intake. So something like this. Do I even have one? Yeah, I have one over here. Well, it's in a box. I'm not going to get it out. But an exhaust and like a pod filter for your carburetor. By the way, I would highly recommend doing like a foam filter like this when you're switching your airbox. You'll get rid of your airbox and you'll install this just like he has, or me here. See how there's no airbox? This doesn't just go for ruckuses. This is everything. But the ones that I don't recommend is like a eBay cheap version of this. I've had customers have me install these, and it's worse flow than the stock airbox. I'm not kidding. You would think like by looking at it, there's no way, but foam. Get a foam filter and make sure you spray it with like I use like a uni oil, like this. That's a filter clean. That's a cleaner, but there's oil like that for uni, or you can just use like WD-40. Because what happens on these is when you're riding down the street, especially on a bike like this, and it's raining out, or you get the water will splash up onto this, and if there's no oil on here for it to like beat off, it's gonna suck the water in, and it's gonna suck. You're gonna be broken down. So remember that. So that's do the pod filter and the exhaust, and let's see. And then you want to do, I'm sorry, I forgot a huge step because I was thinking of like that Supermoto. If you have a scooter, before you do a big bore kit, do variator rollers, which are, there's two different styles. Let me see. Here we go. So these are rollers. This is what comes stock in your scooter. And just pretend your stock scooter has like 6-gram rollers, which most of them do, so six or 7. What you want to do is open your variator up, which your variator is here underneath your cover. This doesn't have the variator, but it would be right here. Actually, it's right here. Let me show you what the variator is if you don't know already. You just want lighter. You don't want to go super light. But there's a science to it. I mean, you can ask me what you can ask me what you have, and I can recommend it. But the other thing to that is there's a size. Like this is a 16 by 13. This is a 15 by 12. So there's a difference. But if you want to take it one step further, these are rollers. It's the other round. That's what it looks like in stock. And these are sliders made by Dr. Pulley. See that weird shape? You get much more action out of the variator. Those are much better than these rollers. So if you own a scooter, this is the very first mod you should do. It'll help you with your acceleration and your top speed. So I hope I answered that. Let me see some of these questions. See if we got anything else. What performance mods do you recommend? Derby, the two-stroke. Performance mods for the Derby. Into the exhaust pipe. I'm not 100% familiar. That you must be from like Europe or something, because Derby Supermoto, there's not very many here, but it has that AF. What is it? AF16, I believe. It's the same type of motor as like the Aprilia RS50, 50cc, two-stroke, 6-speed. But 70cc kit, again, you can make those two-strokes just fly. Yeah, like a 70cc kit, you don't have rollers in that, so you don't have to worry about that. On the two-stroke Supermotos, you can do exhaust, intake, 520 conversion. You can pull that up on Google. I don't want to get into that since we're focused on scooters mainly right now. But 520 conversion, what am I talking about? That's for like big street bikes. Yours is like a 420 from the get-go. But you can do lighter sprockets, like aluminum sprockets. But remember, aluminum sprockets on a motorcycle don't last as long as steel, but the lighter rotating mass allows for more performance. Will a dead battery cause a 4-stroke scooter to not have spark? No, it won't. You can take the battery out completely and kickstart it, and it will start. So you're good there. If you don't have spark, there's only four potential problems. If you don't have spark, it's either going to be your spark plug is fouled out. You normally have spark, but it's it's not creating the correct spark. It's jumping off to the side. So the spark plug, the stator can charges the battery, but it also has a pickup coil on it as well, which looks like this. Let me walk over here. This is your magneto, and underneath here is a stator. This is your pickup coil. It comes with a brand new stator. One thing I see a lot when you don't have spark, you got a plug here, and then you got 2 loose wires. Sometimes people reverse these wires. The blue with the white stripe is the pickup. That tells the engine when to spark. It sends the signal to the CDI box and tells it when to spark. So make sure that there's no broken wires. You can do a continuity test on this blue wire. I mean, a bad stator could cause a no spark, but check to make sure this blue wire is plugged in. The other thing is the kill switch could have a problem with it. If you have a kill switch problem, normally what I do is just disconnect the right hand control. Disconnect this guy where the kill switch is. Actually, it's the left side on this one. Disconnect the side with the kill switch and then kick start it. Also, another thing to look for, if you have no spark, some scooters have a kickstand sensor. Like right up under here, make sure that's not on there. And if it is, make sure it's working properly. The other thing, it could be the coil or CDI. I know that was more than 4, but it could be the coil or the CDI. We do have a no spark kit if you don't want to test everything. Also, we also have, like last year I did, was ChineseScooterRepair.com. I walked through like tons of stuff. If you're having problems with your Chinese scooter, ChineseScooterRepair.com. Check that out. Let's see here. What do you think of the SLDE bleed exhaust? I don't know what that is. Let me look. SLDE bleed exhaust. Maybe slide bleed exhaust? Maybe that's what you meant. Let's see. Side bleed exhaust. Are you talking about just in general, or are you talking about, is that a brand? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're talking about for like a two-stroke. Is that right, Gene? Let's see. Oh, okay. Be honest with you, I don't have a ton of experience with this. This is what he's talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gene. Like this. Let's pull up the one you were just talking about. The what did you say? MLM. So these right here. Is this what you're talking about? Oh, I put MK. Let's see. MLM. Here we go. Yeah, I don't have any experience with those. I'm sorry. I don't want to just like come up with some random phony, but I don't have any experience. Sorry, Gene. Dang it. But I mean it. Let me just add to that. So two-stroke exhaust. The reason why you would switch out an exhaust, like, so this is a two-stroke right here. See how this exhaust doesn't look nothing like that? And this exhaust here has that, they call this an expansion chamber. That's a huge performance upgrade for the two-stroke scooters. And I would highly recommend upgrading the pipe to an expansion chamber type pipe. But one thing that changes dramatically when you do that is when you go to like give it gas, throughout the power band, your power's fairly the same. When you do an expansion chamber exhaust, it's kind of like a turbo. You go to give it gas and then it just hits hard like the power band comes on hard. So I would definitely recommend any expansion chamber exhaust. And I don't know much about the side dump exhaust. I'm sorry. Let's see. You gave me a photo bucket link, but I can't click on those because this is my cell phone, and then I have like, there's just no way for me to do that. So who has any technical questions that wants to call in and we can talk about it? And I could, that way it's not like I'm reading and I can get instant feedback and questions answered. Oh, you gotta scroll up, bro. He said, let's see. I asked a question I need help with. Let's see. Tyler, let's see. I'm going. I'm checking it. I missed a lot of them. Sorry. All right. With the 70cc big bore, should I also get a performance CDI? So the CDI box, unless you're hitting the rev limiter, it's not like if you get a performance one, it's going to delete that rev limiter. So if you have problems with that, then yeah, get rid of, replace it with a performance one. But that's like the last upgrade you should do. Bang for buck, it's like the worst bang for buck on upgrades that you can get. Unless you have like a Honda Ruckus, doing a CDI box on that because the rev limiter kicks in so early. Don't get it. I wouldn't recommend a CDI box right off the bat unless, like I said, unless it's your last mod. I missed a bunch of comments here. Sorry, guys. With 70cc, should I also get a... Oh, that was that one. I put a brand new stator and pickup coil in, but it will definitely check out. If you put a brand new pickup coil and stator in, then your two other, one thing you can't test is the CDI box, so that could cause the problem. I don't know how it went out. You're no spark, but normally when a CDI box goes out, it's not intermittent. It just goes out normally. And if you have no spark and once it gets hot and the spark starts going out, then, let me go back up. So symptoms of like a bad CDI box would be like this is where I see it a lot. You kind of have a low battery. You rode it all day. You go inside to eat lunch or something. You park in the garage. You come out, try to start it again. It won't start. Normally that's what happens with the CDI box. The coil, normally it starts up in the morning. Everything's fine. Once you ride it, it starts running worse and worse. Pretty soon it won't start anymore. You let it sit for a little while, and then it starts again. That's the symptoms of a bad coil. And then the stator, there's really not any concrete, there's nothing I can tell you that's like, you've already replaced it anyway, so we know it's not the stator. You got a 100cc big bore kit with a new carburetor in it. Are the fuel jets in the carburetor calibrated to add more fuel to the fuel air mixture? Yeah, so if you get a new carburetor, so I think the question is questions about like what do the fuel jets do? I could be wrong, but let's see. I'm gonna read that one more time, make sure. Yeah. So the fuel. Yeah. So there's let me grab some jets here. There's two different jets inside a carburetor. Actually, I'm gonna grab my little box up here. Let me grab it. This has a bunch of carburetors in it. All right, let's see here. So this is what a carburetor looks like without the float bowl on it. So we unscrew the float bowl, which looks like this. It will look like this underneath. There are two jets under here. This is a main jet. This is a pilot jet. So while I'm on this subject, if your scooter won't start after months of sitting, you need to open up your carburetor and clean that jet out. That's the pilot jet or idle jet. It's clogged. And the size of the hole that goes through this is the size of a piece of thread. It's super tiny. And this controls 1,000 RPMs and below. This is a main jet that controls 3,000 RPMs and above. So if you're having trouble with your fuel settings at 3,000 RPM and above, you need to adjust this. What controls in between that is the diaphragm. There's a needle in here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a needle down there. And yes, so there's different sizes of jets. Like there's little numbers on the side. Like say pretend this is an 80. And if you wanted to make it a bigger, if it was a bigger jet, it'd be an 85 and so on. So if you had an 85 and need more fuel, you get an 86 and so on. Same thing goes with the pilot jet. All right, what else we got? Let's see here. Oh, somebody sent 2 texts. Let's see. I'm going to try to get this phone call thing set up. Let's see. How do we do that? Let me go there really quick. Oh, here we go. I have a 2005 QMB 139 with the big bore kit. Here, I'm just going to call you. You ready for this? Maybe put your name in there too. Let's see. I'm going to call somebody. I don't know his name yet, but he has a QMB 139. I actually didn't even read what it was, but I'm going to help him. And you guys can listen live on the air, maybe. Let's see. Phone call. This is the first time I've done this, so let's see. Paste. Call. Let me know if it's too loud or what.
Hello, sir.
Hello. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. What was your first name?
My first name's Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. So tell me, thanks for calling in, by the way. I appreciate it. You're the first one to ever do this, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, not a problem. I mean, I've had some questions, and you know, I watch you all the time, so I know you're pretty good at what you do.
Thanks.
Out where I live in Central New York, and all this stuff is foreign to people out here. So I'm pretty much my own mechanic and learning my own way on these things. But
nice.
I had two questions. My first one is for QMB 139. I put a big bore kit in it over the spring, and I had an oil seal on my left side blow out, and I replaced the oil seal, but afterwards I started having a leak again. I noticed that when I grabbed the primary clutch, it had a little bit of a wiggle to it. And I know the Chinese engines are not, you know, super tight like an American engine would be, but my feeling is I think I might have smoked the bearings on that. What's your thoughts on that?
So you had a seal pop out, the crank seal, is that right? In this?
Yeah.
Okay, and what size big bore kit did you do?
I did the 83
okay.
cc, the 50 millimeter.
All right, 80 cc. And when you have you noticed that, like, whenever you check your oil, there's tons of pressure in there? Like, you go to open the, check your oil, and
yeah,
there is.
Yeah, when the first one blew out, I put in a pressure release system that does connect to the dipstick.
Right.
And that seemed to work a lot better. It ran way better after that too.
Oh, good.
I noticed there was a performance difference between before and after.
Oh, good.
But then again, it started leaking again, and that's when I started noticing that it was having a little bit of a wiggle to it.
Okay, so it sounds like you had two problems. You had a seal pop out on when you did the big bore kit, and then the other problem is like the clutch. You're having issues with the clutch. Does that sound right?
Actually, it's the crankshaft. I can.
Oh, the crankshaft.
The clutch is fine.
You're
I
talking.
can grab the crankshaft on that side and it just make a slight jiggle, you know.
Okay, can you see what I'm doing right now?
I had to turn it down because it was so. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so this, you're talking about this, right? This the variator?
Yes.
Okay. So if it has a little wiggle, are you talking you can just shake this and you physically feel wiggle inside there like a bearing's going out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can grab it and you can shake it, like very slight, but you know it's there. You can feel it.
Okay.
And like I said, I was worried with the fact that I drove it probably about 10 minutes the first time. I didn't realize it was leaking, and I was worried that afterwards I may have done something with the crank bearing.
Yeah, there really shouldn't be. Let me shine my little camera over here. So this is a 150, but this guy, you shouldn't have any movement at all, and that would definitely be symptoms of crank bearings going bad, which suck, I know.
Okay.
But if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you're not talking about an expensive fix, maybe $30 or less, somewhere around there.
Right. Now, would you recommend me replacing the complete crankshaft? Maybe finding something a little bit stronger, better?
Yeah, if it's in your budget. But truthfully, it's very, very rare that I see even crank bearings go out. Even with the 52 millimeter big bore kits, I don't see it very often. But yeah, I would recommend upgrading it. Yeah, do something that's from Taiwan, not China.
Yeah, definitely not China. That's one thing I've learned the hard way over again, doing everything myself in the past. So.
Well, I mean, it's Chinese stuff isn't like horrible. I mean, I work on bikes all the time that have 8,000 miles on it, which is a lot for a scooter. But if you're going to upgrade it, you might as well, upgrade the quality of it too, you know. But I wanted to touch.
It's my thoughts too.
I wanted to touch on one thing though that you mentioned, as far as the pressure building up on the head.
Yeah.
So this, let me show you some. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. See this hose? Let me go over here. See this hose here? You want to make sure.
Wait for a point. Yes.
That's the breather hose. Normally that goes into the air box. A lot of times I'll see this hose, you know, pinched between the underneath the seat, and you know how you can pull the seat out, and that hose is pinched up underneath there. I've even, like, when I go out to like mobile jobs and I go to like change the oil, I've had this happen where that hose is pinched up underneath, like between the seat and the frame, the seat bucket, I guess. And when I go to drain the oil, it's like so pressurized it just goes everywhere. But I would just check. I know that you've already dealt with the pressure deal, but for people that may have that problem, I wanted to mention that. Check that hose to make sure it's not pinched at all in any way.
Yep, that was my first thought as well, that it pinched off, and it was free and clear. It just built up so much pressure that it just popped that seal.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I put the system on, the release system on, there was a huge difference on how that engine reacted. It really freed up a little bit more with the acceleration, with how much it was just hugely improved on how the throttle response was a lot better. It didn't feel sluggish.
I hear you.
You know,
I was trying to find
great.
one. I was trying to find one so people know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's a huge performance upgrade. That's it screws into the dipstick, and then it has a hose that goes higher than the back of up behind the scooter.
Yep, and actually the one I went with looks like a small exhaust can. And what I did is I ran it up in my fairing on the back side, and zip tied it to the frame, and you don't see it. The only thing you see is the tube running down to the dipstick. But other than that, everything else is hidden. I got it as high as possible on the bike itself.
Yeah, that's a good upgrade. But I think you're gonna have to do those crank bearings.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The crank bearings. I have a second question if you got time.
Sure.
Okay, my buddy has a Yamaha Zuma that I've been toying with for the last year. It's a 2002. It's a two-stroke. I ride it more than he does. The last time I rode it, I was taking it for a long run. On the way back, the carburetor was acting up. I had to actually choke the carburetor, even though it was fully warm. Been running it for over a couple hours in order to keep it running. It felt like it was starving out, like it was getting too much air all of a sudden, going lean. And I have rebuilt the carburetor, made sure there was nothing in the pilot or the main jet, checked the lines, make sure there was no cracks, replaced lines. I mean, I'm down to the point of replacing the carburetor, replacing the carb boot, because my feeling it's one of those two things. I replaced the gasket to the carb boot because it's got reeds on it. I replaced the gasket because that was cracked. I thought I had it, and then it still is doing the same thing. Okay. I could turn in the fuel mixture screw all the way tight. It'll run better, but again, does the same thing. It wants, when you go quarter open or more, it just bogs right out. It just falls on its face.
I see.
And my question is the carb boot itself from Yamaha is pretty expensive. Same thing with the carburetor. And we're just trying not to put so much money into this thing. It's got over 3,000 miles on it, and he's torn. My buddy's torn on what he can do with it. So
I hear you. So I guess I should ask you. So at a quarter throttle, that's when it bogs. That's the only time it ever bogs. How's the idle? Is the idle erratic?
It'll idle fine. It starts up fine. It warms up fine. It idles fine. When you go past the quarter throttle mark, it just falls right on its face.
Okay. Have you checked the? That's a slide type carburetor, right? With a flat slide. Or a round slide. I'm sorry. So like it's got the You know, the top where it slides. Let me see if I have a carburetor. Kind of looks like this.
Yeah, like a Makuni in a sense.
It's got this top like this.
I'm still waiting for it to pop over in the picture on my side.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So one thing you should check, so that you're having a mid-range problem. Let me try to find a carburetor just a second. In here.
Mm-hmm.
So mid-range is associated with the needle.
Right.
So what I see a lot when that happens is, let's see. Do you see this needle? Do you know where the needle is that looks like this on the carburetor?
Yeah, with the clip.
Yeah, a lot of times I see that clip fall out. A lot of times I see that clip fall out, and that will cause exactly what you're talking about. That would be the first thing. The other thing that comes to mind, that's like the obvious, like the one that I see all the time, that you're having that problem. It'll idle fine. The minute you try to snap the throttle, you can't even feather past it. It won't go. That clip.
Yeah.
That clip probably fell out and the needle's way down. That's normally what it is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could. The other thing you can check, I doubt this is the problem, but I'm just going to mention it because it comes to mind. That has a vacuum operated fuel valve, right?
Yes.
So you may check. I hate to tell you to suck on it because you might get gas in your mouth, but if you have like a syringe, you can.
Yeah.
You could make sure the syringe is like super clean and dry on the inside, but you can suck that, the vacuum end of that pump to get to see if there's gas leaking by the diaphragm. I see that too, where it's flooding out through the vacuum operated diaphragm, or it's like the diaphragm starts falling apart, which happens normally if you put like PJ1 or like sea foam in your fuel to help clean it out. That a lot of times that will deteriorate that vacuum operated fuel valve, and you'll have like fuel leaking by and goes into the carburetor, which makes it super flooded. But I don't know.
Okay, that would make sense because the scooter sat for a while before I started working on it, and the guy admitted to me that he used 87 ethanol gas, so I was already replacing things in the carburetor that was dealing with that, and so that would make sense. I guess I just didn't think about that portion.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do if you want to just bypass the whole system completely is just cap that vacuum operation off. Take that syringe that you were working with, suck some fuel out of the tank, or get some fuel into that, and use that as your remote tank. Plug that into your carburetor inlet.
Right.
And then you'd bypass their whole gas tank. I do that all the time.
And see if. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that works for me.
Well, sweet. Well, thanks for calling in and being my first Google Voice dude. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you. And you guys have a great night. And thanks for spending some time on me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right. Well, let's see if I can answer someone else. That worked out real nice. That's kind of what I was after. Let's see. More gas during cold condition. I got one here, you guys. I'm going to call. Oops. I'm going to make a call here for... I don't know.
Hey, Wrench.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going well. How's it going over there?
Oh, going good. Going good. Thanks for calling in or taking my call, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nothing.
What was your first name?
So I'm sorry?
What was your first name?
Maximiliano.
Max. Good to meet you, Max. What can I help
Good to
you?
meet you.
What kind of
So
issues are you having?
I can't see you because I use everything on my phone right now, and I think I can understand what you're saying. I work on scooters a lot. I specialize in 4-strokes. I've had a few 2-strokes. I had a good Indian one from India. There were no labels. It was all scratched out. And just wanted to say to the crowd also that it ran forever until I broke it by exceeding the weight capacity. The aluminum cracked.
Oh,
and I don't weld or anything, so
yes.
well, I didn't weld at the time.
Scooters from India are good stuff. My only gripe is their electrical systems, but other than that, they're great.
Yeah, electrical systems. Yeah, people end up doing crazy little things to it.
The little
You got to
beep.
treat them well. Do your best
The little
to replace
beep.
the parts exactly how they were.
Yeah. What about the beep when you turn the blinker on? Doot, doot. Did it have that?
Nah.
No. That my
That sounds fancy though.
My genuine Stella had that, and it's from India. So that's pretty cool. What kind of problems are you having?
I wasn't having any problems. Well, actually, there's one. I think it's actually a cam chain thing because I think this one is a stock replacement that I ordered. And I looked at the grind jobs and the weld jobs and just a lot of the jobs, winding jobs, coil winding jobs from China, ordering from Morch Motors. A lot of the stuff they sell is not done well by hand. I think their workers are tired or fatigued or malnourished or something over there, or they're breathing in aluminum powder all day getting poisoned.
Yeah,
But I hear this. I hear this at high speeds. I think I hear my timing chain rattling. My tensioner's fine. Tensioner's fine. I do have both of the tensioners in place. There's somewhere on them, the top one and the bottom one, the rails or the guides.
Nice.
Keepers. But it gets pretty loud. The chain, it sounds like it gets pretty loud at top speeds.
And
the 4-stroke board up to 80. I've been working on it. I just went through a major oil leak fix, and it's going well. I coated my gaskets with copper spray.
Oh, right on. Is this that Indian bike you're talking about?
No, this is a 4-stroke GY6 1P39Q and B. That's with a P.
Oh, I got it. Nice. How are the valves? Have you checked that they're within spec? 0.004?
I have actually. I did the valve job by hand. I don't do the drill stuff that people put the drill on their. They'll put the valve grinding compound on and they'll just drill it. That's the wrong way to do it. You got to do it by hand.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Lap in the valves. You're talking about lapping.
Yeah,
the
lapping the valves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the valves are straight. Everything's fine. I was actually thinking about doing a port job, but I don't think that's called for.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I mean, you could, but I don't know. Have you checked the valve clearance, like to make sure that it's like within 0.004?
I haven't checked it since my first ride, and I am aware valvatitis is a thing. They also say that it's better to hear them than to smell them.
Yeah, you're right. It's better to hear them. That's funny because every time I do a video for YouTube, or not every time, a lot of times people are like, you need to adjust those valves. It's because like the camera seriously picks up it's like they're so loud, they don't actually sound like that in real life, But yeah, if it's making a bunch of noise, that's the only thing I can come up with, without actually seeing it.
Because it is with time. It is with the time of the engine, and it gets louder as it gets faster. So it's probably the valves. No? Yeah,
it could be. The other thing, like I talked about earlier, I don't know if you were in here.
The cam bearings, right?
Yeah, check that too, because that's what starts to happen first. Normally, like people, they'll make the appointment with me, and we're booked out about 3 weeks. By the time I get there, it's toasted. But they hear that noise and then they call in. By the time I'm there, it's toast. So check that. Just get in there and just see if take the tension off the chain to the cam chain tensioner, and just so there's not a load on that chain, and see if you can move that cam back and forth. And if you can get any movement whatsoever, then you're gonna have a problem.
If there's any movement, you mean play, right?
Yeah, any play. Yep, let me show you. I think I have a cam. I can show you what bearings normally go out here. Let's see.
Wait, let me just envision it. Is it, because I can't see your video.
Okay.
So, and I can actually hear my echo too. It's weird. But
let me scoot back here and see.
There's two bearings on it. There's the side that's closer to the driven gear, and there's the side that's further away.
Let me try to turn this down
Right.
real quick. Just one sec.
On the cam, right?
Yeah, so the
bearings.
it's going to be the one that's not closest to the sprocket. It's the opposite side of the sprocket.
The opposite side of the sprocket.
That's the one that I see go out the most.
Aye.
Yeah. So check that out, and but I'm super familiar with the QMB 139s. Definitely, I feel like that's like the one motor that I know best.
Yeah, because they're so cheap and easy to get into.
Yeah, and then here in Denver, nobody works on them on a professional level, so I'm the only one that does. So.
The ones that do it over here, they assemble them wholesale, and they're full of tricks. I don't like them. They're the only ones in town that work on GY6 139 QMB scooters.
Yeah.
And they are really dishonest. I do not like them. They're really shady.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, they just assemble them and sell them, really. And I think they do it on the cheap. I don't like it.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Yeah, I hear you. Well, I appreciate you.
Engines when you treat them well.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I used to be involved with an operation, like I don't know, 5 years ago maybe, and we used to put scooters together like about 60 a month. That's how I found out that these things are worth a crap. You know, we sold 60 scooters a month for like 3 years, and the only times I ever had huge problems with the Chinese scooters was when they sat out in the sun. Basically, I'll just come out and say it, that any of the rubber on the Chinese scooter just suck. The rubber, that's it. Replace the rubber, you have a really good scooter. That's the only thing that I've noticed about these. The engines are bulletproof. You know, the rubber belts, they go out pretty quick. But the valve stems, if they sit in the sun, the valve stems go out. The hoses dry rot. But anything outside of like hoses, they're good scooters. And rubber.
I see.
That's why
I've seen things age.
Yeah, that's why we came up with that Chinese scooter upgrade kit, come to replace all those everything that's problematic. But yeah, good scooters, and I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate your videos. Since I got started, I've been referring to you, and it really helps.
Nice. Well, thank you. And I enjoy doing these videos. It keeps my brain sharp, and I like helping people and growing my channel. So definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, dude.
So
definitely.
All right. Well, maybe we'll talk again in the next episode. I got to start wrapping it up because I only have an hour and I'm at 53 minutes. It'll cut
All right,
me
I'll
off.
be doing.
So have a good one. I appreciate it.
You too. Bye.
All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll go through see if I missed anything here that I could talk about quickly. Like I said, I have like, I don't know, 5 minutes or something left. Chris is on it. Fresh oil to valve, guys, heads. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody that watching. How do you dyno tune with the fuel injection kit? So I'll answer that question really quick. How do you dyno tune with the fuel injection kit? So you could do a dyno, which I don't have. Most people don't have one, and I don't have a need for one, so I'll never buy one. The way that I do it is, so here's the fuel injection kit that's halfway put together. Here is what you call a safer tool made by Dobeck Performance. So see this little guy here? Actually, this thing here is broken. But what you do, this is a wideband O2 sensor. I unscrew here. I actually drilled a hole and installed that. And I installed this wideband O2 sensor, just like that. And then I'm just gonna make a long story short here. This gauge, I put up on the mirror like that, stays up on the mirror. It's like that. And I hook it up, and when I cruise, it tells me my air-fuel ratio. So basically, instead of being on a dyno, I'm riding the scooter, and then I've got my little laptop here where I can make the adjustments. I'll show you what the software looks like. There we go. I can make my adjustments. So I'll make the adjustment, ride it a little bit more. Basically, I'm trying to target, you know, between 12.5 and 13.5 air-fuel ratio. And that's how you tune without a dyno. It's like 100% better than a dyno, because a dyno is super expensive for very little gain, I think. Is that an Ecotron or your own? No, it's not an Ecotron. It's, to be honest with you, it's a Chinese one. And I can't tell you the brand, I don't know. But it uses micro squirt software. And it's really good, really good. I have the same type of setup on that bike over there. I've had it for a year and a half, no problems. And I'm just doing a bunch of testing on that one just to make sure it's all good, but really good stuff. And yep, anyway. So I appreciate you guys watching. I wanted to let you guys know, if you're interested, I set up a Patreon account. It's got like some rewards, different brackets. You can check it out. I have the link. I'll put the link down here. The link's actually in my main page, my YouTube page. You can check it out. I haven't done any promoting on it yet, but if you want to help support the channel, you can do that. If not, just keep watching. I'll keep pumping out quality video for you guys and helping you guys out. Until next time, I really appreciate it. And you guys have a good night and Happy New Year. I appreciate that.